One of the biggest things I think the United States can learn from
Mm-hmm.
Germany and even Europe as a whole is the idea, the ideology of what freedom truly means, or the ideology of what success truly means. Because
Hi, welcome back to the castle. We're gonna watch a video today that I wanted to watch for so long, but it was just stuck in the queue. It's from the guy James Bray. I think we watched one video already. And this time it is Free American Lies I Don't Believe Anymore After Visiting Europe. He's a guy who's like living or like born in America and then moved to Europe and like traveled around there a lot and stuff. So experienced a whole different culture for a longer time. So it's like really interesting to see both perspectives in this case. Let's go. All right, here's James.
what is the perception of Americans to the world? When I was
How would you answer that question? That's a really good beginning for the thing. What is the perception? Because I mean, there's a subreddit, like tell me that you're American without telling me that you're American, and some of those comments are absolutely hilarious that are posted there. So it gives kind of a bad impression. But let's also see what James has to say about it.
was little, I distinctly remember my father traveling to and from Germany a lot on business, and
That's
it kind
Berlin,
of
no?
sparked the fascination that I eventually wound up having in traveling to Germany.
There he
Dude,
is.
This is crazy. This is crazy.
Aww.
Probably one of the craziest things I've seen since being here, man.
I would
Okay.
hear stories
Wait,
all the
what?
time. I was very curious. I would ask him, I'm like, okay, what's there to do out there? I knew nothing about Germany at this time. And he's like, oh, okay, well, the food is really good. And they got all these different cuisine and whatnot.
The food is like really nice. You have to know your places, because I mean, like everywhere around the world, some places are good, some are bad. But if you have your good places, man, the food. Same for Austrian food. He's eating a kebab.
Oh, maybe another bite.
What? Like half the thing is gone, my guy. Half the thing is gone. He's processing so hard.
Oh my god.
The people are very friendly. The
Cute.
society looks really cool. The architecture is amazing. And it got me very hype. I'm like, oh my gosh. And mind you, at the time, I'm like 10 years old. So I'm like, wow, I can't wait to visit. It became a goal of mine to travel to the country until I got on a phone call with my grandmother one day. I was about, again, 10 years old. And we were talking about a lot of different things, a lot of different goals. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Like, I think I'm actually pretty interested in traveling to Germany. And she shut
Just look how pretty that is. Oh, beautiful.
that whole dream down in a heartbeat. In fact, it was with some fear-mongering propaganda. She's like, oh yeah, well, if you travel over to Germany, I just hope you know, don't be surprised if you wake up in a bathtub full of ice with your kidneys missing. And I'm
What? People in America think that you will get your kidneys robbed.
like, oh, I mean, I don't want that. That don't sound too
It sounds like horror movie material. I think there is a horror movie where exactly that happens.
good. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not traveling to Europe, let alone Germany. And I realized that is a scare tactic that a lot of people are subjugated to in America.
Really?
Not like on that scale. Honestly, sometimes on that scale, but just generally the fear of traveling has been kind of embedded in a lot of Americans, which
Is that really so? I hope like that some Americans will be here to help me navigate through this video. I mean, we all have different experiences, but it would be really nice to just share those and see how you grew up with what kind of what kind of thoughts about traveling, specifically traveling to Europe, aside from the money part. Let's put the money part away. But if you could, would you be like comfortable traveling to Europe, for example?
has prompted people to not even leave their local towns. Now, of course, finances play a large part in that, but the desire to travel has been like wiped pretty much from a lot of Americans.
But yeah, as apparently, like even if financial possibilities would be there, the travel part is not really existing. But it'd be really nice to know what you guys say about it.
on the fear of the unknown, which I think is kind of unfortunate. So, of course, fast forward to 2023, and I traveled to Germany for the very first time, and I'm happy to say I still have my kidneys.
Congratulations.
It was amazing. It was incredible. At that point, I had made a whole bunch of
that's Cologne. Or I could already see the Cologne Dome church thing.
videos on my channel about Germany. I had learned so much about the culture, the language, its people, and it was incredible. I was able to visit Cologne, Germany, and
See, it is Cologne.
the cathedral was the first thing I was greeted with when I stepped outside of the Hauptbahnhof.
Yo, that's crazy.
That's like the main train station. Hauptbahnhof is main train station. And then you step out of it. And then look what you're gonna see. It's just crazy.
Dude, it looks like a Photoshop kind of thing. What?
Look at this thing. The thing is, it's always under construction. The problem is they use the material, like this is like a stone that's like discoloring into black over a period of time. That's why they always are busy like cleaning it, fixing it. The material is not the best, but they can't just replace the whole thing because it's so old. But inside is absolutely stunning, very beautiful.
What the heck?
And I was like, oh my goodness, this looks incredible. I don't think I'd seen anything that
Look
old,
at
that elegant, beautiful, and intricate in my entire life. And it was right in front of me. I was looking at it in person.
Yeah, there's the train station up here, as you can see. There are the tracks, and here's like the building where the tracks are pushing through.
Only a few meters away from this absolute masterpiece, and it really opened up my third eye when it came to traveling. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's got to be more of this, and of course there was. I got to try some really good food. I met some really cool people that I'd like to call life.
Wait, hold on.
My third eye when it came to traveling. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's got to be more of this, and of course there was. I got to try some really good food. I met some really cool people.
He met Julian Bam? Okay, if you don't know this guy over here, it's one of the biggest German YouTubers on the platform. And they didn't know that they know each other. That's so cool.
People that I'd like to call lifelong friends now, and it was an enriching experience. And I'm like, okay, I realized from traveling just how small the world was. One of the biggest lies I was told in America was about the American dream, and I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of this, right? And again, as I'm traveling, I'm ingesting my entire environment. I'm trying to learn. I'm listening to people. I'm studying how people behave and whatnot. The American dream, what is that exactly? Well,
yeah, I mean from the movies. Okay, from the movies, what I know, like if you work hard basically and dream big, you can reach that if you work really, really hard. But we all know that this is not true. Like, maybe it was a good amount of time ago, but nowadays, you just live paycheck. So many live paycheck to paycheck. So many can't afford like basic needs. A lot of people struggle like feeding their child and stuff like that, or like buying school supplies for them. It is a really rough situation, and this is not the American dream anymore, if it even was.
Well, the American dream is, and I quote, a core concept in American culture generally understood as the ideal that anyone can achieve success and prosperity through hard work and determination regardless of their background. It implies a society where individuals have the freedom and opportunity to improve their lives and achieve their goals. Now,
but you have the same in Germany, but there's no German dream.
Now, is this true? To an extent, yes.
Yeah,
but hear me out. There's a lot of holes in this theory. One of the biggest things is people have taken the American dream, and by people I mean Americans, right? They've taken the idea of the American dream and have perpetuated this ideology that everybody wants to flock to America. And while that might have been closer to the truth at some point in time, right now, I feel like...
Right now, and this video is already like 11 months old. and that right now didn't change, and I think that right now is not the same anymore as it was for the last 15 years roughly.
America has made so many enemies, it is diabolical. One of the things that a lot of people dunk on America about is our education system, our health care, the safety in America. We're going to get into all of those as well. And the lack of all of those things, right? The safety in America is actually insane. If you look at the amount of mass shootings we've had, especially when it comes to school shootings.
I can't even, I mean, yes, it happens in Europe as well, but the frequency is so low, and I can't even imagine that this is like happening more frequently over there. It's just crazy to me.
It's deplorable, and it's so common we've become desensitized. At this juncture, we have gotten to a point where we're comparing how ruthless each mass killing has become in America, and it's unfortunate. It makes it
Like every one of those situations is absolutely horrible. You do not, there's no, it feels a little bit disrespectful to put it on the scale, like which one was worse, because all of them are horrible. All of them are horrible. It is just crazy. If one loses their life for nothing because someone else had whatever plan, it is horrible. No matter how many, no matter how ruthless, doesn't matter. Horrible.
harder for people to want to go and explore places in the United States without the fear of getting their souls yeeted from their bodies. So when I navigated Germany and whatnot, it was really cool. I got to do things that I would not normally be able to do in the United States, like drinking in public.
Wait, you're not allowed to drink in public? He's so
This is
confused.
good though. This is really
It's very weird being able to drink beer out in the open like this.
He's like thinking something like, tasting, but also the feeling,
In America, I'd be fried. You can actually go outside
Really?
with a beer bottle and consume alcohol in public. And I know that doesn't sound like a big deal to you guys, but to me, that is massive. That's an automatic, you're going to get arrested. You're going to get approached by a cop and arrested immediately.
Really?
I mean,
I didn't know that it's so harsh.
you can't do that. But
Okay.
over there, it just felt so open and freeing. There were so many different types of things that you could do where I was like, wow, like America couldn't handle something like this, obviously. And it was normal. And on top of that, I didn't have this hostile feeling. Now, of course, I was only visiting, so it's going to be hard to get that type of vibe. I feel like if you land and you're like, oh my gosh, like you have the rose-colored glasses on and you can't really see things for what they are. Germany by far is not a perfect society, but I do
No, it definitely is not. But there are some good aspects in there.
think that there are a lot of things that America could learn from Germany. America is also far from perfect. There are a lot of things that I feel like America could
Like nobody is perfect. How could that be in our on the planet? That is very difficult.
improve. One of the biggest things I think the United States can learn from Germany and even Europe as a whole is the idea, the ideology of what freedom truly means, or the ideology of what success truly means. Because in the American dream, it's like anybody can achieve success. And when we define success, it's millions of dollars, mansions, materialistic things, right? Materialistic items that cost a fortune. That is the grind. You want to build generational wealth, and that is the common denominator when it comes to the American dream. In Europe, success is actually so much more
How would you define success for yourself? Like for me personally, let's say let's view it on my VTubing career. I think I would be very successful if I could pay my bills and go buy groceries comfortably and keep my 2 visits per year to my family in Germany. If I can keep that just with content creation, I would count myself as very successful. And it doesn't require thousands and thousands and thousands of euros. It is very doable. It is still a long journey till there, but it is something that can actually be achieved. And then, man, this is freedom. this is absolute freedom for me then already.
Relaxing. From what I've observed when I traveled out there, how I perceived success in how the people in Europe operated and whatnot was just the ability to work enough to enjoy the simplicities of life, right? Just going outside on a simple walk or biking to a location and stuff, spending time with friends, truly
That's a good goal.
appreciating your settings, your surroundings, and even solitude. And I'm like, oh my gosh, for the first time ever, I realized I needed to slow down and take things in and really appreciate my life. You know, I think there is.
I mean, of course, it comes with the thing that we have the safety nets, like if you lose your job and stuff like that, that you're not homeless, for example, that you do not have the fear of losing your apartment. This is of course in America not possible. So of course we can like just work enough to enjoy life, because if anything happens, we are still safe and can look for a new job without being on the street.
Is this mentality in America where we're always worried about the next thing, the next big thing. We're not doing enough. We need to keep grinding constantly and working hard. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard the saying, Americans live to work and Europeans work to live. What fascinated me was the amount of people that actually enjoy.
That could be a good way of saying it, I think. Yeah.
Eating outside, for instance. I know in America, in some places it's like that, but it's not as common as it is in Europe. I mean, oh my gosh, the usage of parks. Let's talk about that. The usage of parks was incredible. Like this.
There's nothing like what I really, really like to do. Like I have a favorite bubble tea shop, and it's next to a park. So I buy my bubble tea, and before I went keto, I also went to the bakery to get like they have amazing croissants, and I really prefer the pistachio or salted caramel filled croissant. So I buy a croissant, I buy my bubble tea, I go to a park. I can hear kids playing around, I can hear birds, I can also watch like birds and everyone. It's just so nice and calming. And then I just sit there, enjoy my bubble tea, have a croissant. And this is, I don't know, it is like a simplicity that gives a lot of joy. And of course, this is all possible because we have a lot of, I don't know, like we don't have that everyone is armed, for example. Or not everyone, but many people technically. You don't have to fear that something happens regarding that. And everything is clean. So, and then just like people feel so comfortable that is like just nice. It's just nice.
Second, Germany had even a shroud of good weather. Everybody, I'm saying hundreds of thousands of people were out in those parks filling up everything. Picnics, bunch of friends, their pets, everything. Packed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I was not used to seeing that. And it felt very refreshing. And it had me reconsidering what I wanted in my life. Because I'm like, initially, I'm like, oh, I'm going to grind so hard. I'm going to make all this money and do all these things. And I'm like, man, I should probably take a step back and genuinely appreciate what I already have. And that was the ideology I feel like that success has.
I mean, a problem, I think what would be is that in America, a lot of places are only accessible by car. So like for many people, maybe a park is not even accessible or not so easy accessible that you can just walk there, because you have to take the car everywhere. And this is maybe one part that is already working against people enjoying a park, basically.
In Europe versus America. America, it's all about the hustle and bustle. It's all about being highly competitive and who you can outdo and who you can outpace. But in Europe, it's a lot more laid back, and you can see that in how the society is structured. I mean, just look at the amount.
I mean, I think if you are working at a place, you still work very hard, but you are not like overdoing it too crazy. Some people do. I'm one of them. But there's like a way different mentality in that, yeah. And if work is done, work is done. You will not call me on, I don't know, Sunday for some stupid shit. No, it's Sunday. We don't work.
amount of vacation days the average European can have in comparison to Americans on average. On average, Americans only get about 2 weeks of unpaid vacation annually. And in
Okay.
Germany, that is at least almost a month, a
Yeah.
month to 6 months.
It's by law 24 days. So 2 days per month you can have paid vacation. That is by law. But usually it's like common, very, very common, and it's like a unspoken rule kind of thing that you have roughly 30 days unpaid for a full-time job. That is the normal way of handling vacation days.
Of vacation. I'm not sure if it's 6 months, but at least a month of vacation days it can earn in a year. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's
And if you have, if you are like having, let's say you work in the office and you only have a core working time, let's say from 9 to 14, everything, and then you have like, and you filled up your 8 hours, but you do a little bit of overtime basically. Everything, every hour of overtime is saved up for you that you can have, that you can leave earlier. For example, if like a day is not so busy, that you can just leave after the core time is over, that you can just leave, for example. That is also very, very common.
unheard of. I mean, in the military in America, you get, 30 days and you can stack up to
Oh,
60
really?
days in a year, but you
I
have
didn't
to
know.
be in the military for that, which a lot of people are not. So it's just very interesting looking at something like that. And I can say after our shenanigans this year with those tariffs and the border
the funny
our
board.
shenanigans this year with those
Calling it shenanigans is actually very on point. Thank you. And the thing is, James is American, so it is very interesting to just have one American experience from that. But of course, I would be very, very grateful for more comments from the community on this topic.
tariffs and the border security being a little wonky in America.
little
A lot of
wonky.
people have issued travel warnings to their respective countries to not travel to the United States because we're a loose cannon at this point, and it's very unfortunate. I actually feel pretty guilty traveling to other countries and whatnot after I see what keeps happening in my own country, and I'm like, man, what is the perception of Americans to the world? Is it just the perception of the government or the government and its people? But the second lie that I was told that was absolutely massive is that America is the best country in the entire world.
Is that so?
And we're essentially the world's police, and the world would crumble without America. And I do not think that would be entirely true. I obviously know that not to be true. I don't think there is an ultimate best country, honestly.
No.
I think the world needs
We all have the flaws, we all have our problems, and that you cannot take that away from any country.
every single country, every single type of people. And I do believe that if we can all work together, we can achieve wonderful things. Now, with the statement America being the best country in the world, we can't even get our education right. When it comes to police, I made a whole video on how American cops, USA cops, work in comparison to cops in Europe. And
interesting. Maybe we should watch that too. That sounds like a very, very educating as well from a experience perspective.
night and day. The training for the average United States cop pales in comparison to the training for the average European cop. And I understand they're two entirely different environments, but you would think that police in America would require more training.
Cute picture though.
With what we have to go through out here versus in Europe and whatnot, especially with the uptick in gun violence. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know I brought that up a lot, but with something like that, you would think that there would be years and years of training, like at least 2 to 3 years of training for American cops, just like
I think it's just a couple months, if maximum. No?
in Europe, but no, man, it's it don't work like that, and it's unfortunate. And you can see that firsthand with how a lot of situations are handled, and it's very unfortunate. Now let's talk about the education system. I do feel like our lack of depth in our education system has actually caused a lot of people to be what they are now. I mean, they believe the first thing that comes across their screens, and they believe in a lot of the fear mongering that gets presented in front of them instead of doing their own research. One of the simple things I think is a direct result of America's lack of education quality.
I mean, it's not only a lack of education, because there are also like a couple education holes in Europe, but it's the lack of and that is a worldwide problem, probably a lack of media competence, basically. How you have to, like, when you watch news and then you hear something, then you're like, this sounds, I don't know if that is true. Maybe let's look it up from like other sources that are more neutral, or like overall more sources, or like, I don't know. I mean, so many silly things happen in America. Like someone sued McDonald's for hot coffee. So this is something that I don't think ever would happen in Europe or Germany specifically. Because it's just common sense that coffee is hot when you go to McDonald's. If you do not order an iced coffee. Just a silly example, okay? But the same is like with media competence. But media competence is, I think, a worldwide problem, because a lot of people, especially with the AI still on the fly, it's very difficult to navigate through media without being lied to, without propaganda, without fake news, and things like that. So this is like really important that we need everywhere.
Of education is the lack of critical thinking. It is
that is also very needed everywhere, critical thinking.
Actually insane, because a lot of people do not want to do their own research. A lot of people,
that is something that is not specifically tied to Americans. This is everywhere.
People don't question things that happen. They just kind of accept it as it is and don't wonder why things are happening. And I think that's unfortunate. It's not everybody. Again, that's not everybody, but it's a vast majority of people, to a point where it has become a problem, and America has become a laughingstock because of it. And I find that to be very unfortunate. When I was in Germany traveling around and whatnot, I was so surprised with how active the average person was in their community, and knowing what was going on in their surrounding environment, and knowing and understanding and wanting to explore more as to.
I mean, that comes to that. Then he met like the people that are really into it, but there are a lot of people that are not really into it. So it depends on the people, really. But I can understand his point, though. I really can understand his point.
To what was happening in the world around them. I do feel like you get trapped in your own bubble in the United States, and it's almost frowned upon to wonder what else is happening outside of the United States, or what impacts the US is having on other countries, or vice versa. People don't think that big, and it's unfortunate. It's not everybody, like I said, but it's enough people where I was shocked to see people who actually cared about being heavily involved in those types of things when I did travel. And I'm like, oh wow, I never thought of that. I also didn't realize how small the world really is when you do get out of your own country and stuff. You find things that you like about your own country, your home country, and things that you don't really appreciate too much.
And that's okay, because you have like you learn new things, you're exposed to new culture, and then you just like can see, okay, this works really well here. That would be really cool if we would have that at home. That would help a lot of people. And this is a moment where that more people should experience to have to do, and like also represent steps into a more, we are all together in this kind of perspective.
And I think although America, I will always pride America for being a place where you have a conglomerate of free thinkers. It's becoming more and more sketchy, and I guess more frowned upon to.
That also happens in Germany. That also, I don't know the English word for that, but some people, conspiracy. Yeah. So many people, like when they see something, the conspiracy is through the roof right away. For example, we had the whale situation where a whale was stuck in northern Germany, like a little, like kind of on a bay. I don't know how to describe it properly. He was still in the water, but he couldn't get out by himself, basically. People went absolutely nuts. Like suddenly they cared for animal care, they cared for environment, they cared for so many things. But what about like animal shelters? What about dogs being on the street? What about supporting them, like if at least with like a can of food or something? If you do not have that much, like 1 or 2 cans of food is something that probably you can afford per month. but they went absolutely nuts about that whale and that he's so special. And then people started swimming to the whale, trying to talk to him. And then like seeing some conspiracy, and then also like when the government or like some universities were already like discussing, because the whale was not doing really well, and they were discussing, okay, what happens if he dies, what we will do with the remains. And then museums and universities for studies and education were like discussing between each other how to share the whale and like handle it, because you should not keep it just that like that on the ocean. If you don't know what happens if you keep a whale like that out without doing anything, you can look that up. Just Google whale exploding on the beach, and then you will see what I mean. And people went absolutely nuts with conspiracy things. Why they're already discussing that the whale is dead, basically, and how to handle him. Who can get his parts and stuff like that. They really went nuts, even though the animal was not dead yet, but it was good to have a plan, because it's a 40 ton heavy animal, and you have to know what to do with it, whatever happens with him. So having multiple routes already pre-planned was really good, but people just ate it up like, I don't know. It was horrible. It really drove me crazy.
To question things happening around you and inquire on things that everybody should just accept, right? Healthcare. Everybody in America hates the healthcare system here. And when
I also hate the American healthcare. I'm not even there, but I hear a lot from the others of the community doing the streams, for example, and it's just like, for example, like someone got hurt, and I'm like, can you go to a doctor? And then the person's like, no, I can't afford it. I'm like, that's not fair. It is just not fair that you cannot, when you injured yourself, that you cannot go see someone to get it treated properly because you cannot afford it. That's just not fair.
we question why it is so bad, we get the same song and dance. Oh, it's not bad. You guys just don't understand how it works. And maybe if you worked a little harder,
no, you just can't afford it.
You can afford better health care. Why is it that in America, we are afraid to be taken away in an ambulance because of a hospital bill? We're afraid of going to the hospital because of hospital.
I also heard, like, when a woman gives birth, the baby is getting the invoice of the costs of the birth, something like that. I saw a TikTok post or like Twitter post about it. But basically, the first couple of things, or when the baby needed some extra support or something, the hospital is creating the bill for the baby already. It's just plopped out into the world and already had an invoice.
Hospital bills. But in Germany, right, let alone like a lot of Europe, you go to the hospital and your bill is virtually nothing. It's a tiny micro fraction of what you would be paying in the United States. Okay.
Or like when you go to a doctor, like if I have something and I'm like, okay, I don't know what it is, I go to a doctor. If I feel unwell, like, or a bit odd than normal, I go to a doctor. I don't have the fear of paying so much money because of the systems. And that is like huge.
Okay, you stay in the hospital for 5 days in the United States, you're going to rack up a bill of $100,000. But in Germany, maybe 20, maybe $20.
Let it be 200. It's still compared absolutely nothing.
Maybe a little bit more, but not much. I thought the whole idea, when America keeps preaching America first, Americans first, it doesn't really feel like that. It doesn't feel like that. Again, we got a long ways to go to see dramatic improvement, and there's constant change and tension and what have you in the space, and I get to see that firsthand. It's just unfortunate, it's very unfortunate. And I had a giant cloak over my eyes until I traveled outside.
And then the thing is, you want to hustle in America, right? Let's see. You want to hustle in America, and then you work and work and work, and then something happens. So you can't go to the hospital, but you already hustled so much that maybe you can pay that one bill that you caused because of the injury, but then you have to restart the whole cycle because you had to pay the bill. Now you don't have the money anymore. So where is the American dream in that case? If you just sabotage yourself in many ways.
Of the United States. Now, there are some things that I truly appreciated about the United States when I left that I was like, oh, okay, like this shock to me is like paying for water, for instance, right?
Yeah, I get that. That you have to pay for water in Europe or Germany specifically, in Austria too.
I'm like, oh my God. Yes, you can pay for water in the States as well, but if you go to any restaurant, it's free, right?
Yeah.
You get water as a
That's
complimentary
something
drink
nice.
anywhere you go.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip
Especially when there are like heat waves and stuff like that, free water is very important.
side, we have a horrible tipping culture in the United States.
Yeah.
So it is a little wonky. But other things
See, there's like one good part and one really bad part. It's everywhere you look, you find little things.
to like just simple goals and stuff, right? We have very eccentric goals in the United States, and in Europe it's a lot more realistic. And because it's more realistic, the idea of being as creative as you want gets shot down a lot more than I would say in the United States. If you guys disagree with that, let me know in the comments down below, but that's just an observation I've made, and I made that observation in Germany specifically. One thing that I noticed when I traveled to Germany is how aware people were of everyone else's personal space and the impact that they as individuals had on their surrounding environment. Hear me out. Americans are loud.
I mean, not many have that, but it is growing. It's getting more into that. Yeah.
Very loud. I live in Korea currently, and me and some friends went out to go shopping and whatnot, and we're on the train, and I'm keeping my voice down and whatnot because I know naturally I'm very, very loud. So I kept my voice as low as I could, but then my friends are yelling at me, even though they're like about a foot away from me. They're like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I can see every single person on the train looking at us like annoyed. And they're like, oh my God, when do they get off the train? What's their stop? Because this is ridiculous. And unfortunately, that is very common. Culture shock, the cultural difference, whatever. I just know that this is a cultural trait that I wanted to take with me back to the United States. In Europe, in Germany, people were like that too. They were very quiet. They were kept to themselves. They made sure that they didn't bother each other and whatnot. This also is in...
There's also after 10 p.m. you have to be freaking quiet or the Germans are coming for you. They call the police sometimes. Like there's some crazy Germans. Like if you make too much noise after 10 p.m., they call the police. And then they will knock on your door like, "Hey, we got a noise complaint. Could you please keep it low?" Even though sometimes they just do it to bully each other. It is a little bit odd. But yeah.
Regards to small talk as well, like the unnecessary conversations just don't happen. So I'm like, wow, I can apply that to the United States. And yeah, of course, when you operate like that, your environment becomes a lot more safe. People aren't agitated, they aren't antsy, they're doing their own thing, and you do eventually become a lot more safe. You feel safer in the environment that you're in, and I think that's pretty cool. So anyway, the idea of just simply relaxing, kicking back, and enjoying life, and that being acceptable, and people actually being okay with that, I think
very okay. You would even be encouraged basically to do that. Like in my friend group, like my very best friends, we all see that we have enough to live, but we also see that we do not like work too much, that we get like burnout or chronic diseases, things like that. I mean, I'm an exception because of the workload, but my friends know the goals. So it doesn't come from nothing. That is the case. So if you want to be self-employed, you really have to push. But if you are in an employment state or employment where you're an employee, basically you do your work, you earn your money, and the rest is then you enjoy your hobbies, your family, your friends, and this is what is encouraged also, at least in my surroundings. Basically, the same as with my people here in Austria as well.
I was more shocked at the fact that people didn't want to max out their lives and, you know, buy private jets and have crazy big penthouses and
for
Bugattis.
What? You have to clean it.
Whatever. And they're just like, yeah, dude, I just want to barbecue on the weekends and spend time with friends and drink.
Maybe buy a new book or two, or like get a dog. A dog is very expensive.
a beer at the local pub with the guys and whatnot. And I'm like, what? That's it? In
Yeah.
America, we would look at that as like a lack of ambition, but in Europe, it's
No.
like, no, we're appreciating life, something you guys should do as well. The last American lie I was told was how safe the United States is. We're told that because of the
I'm so sorry. I don't see it that way. Like I feel there's so much safety here. You cannot compare that to America.
Second Amendment right, the right to bear arms, right? We are super safe. If anybody breaks into our house, we can just blast them to the moon. If we go out and someone challenges us, we can just blast them to the moon. If we have an issue, we can rely on our police to take care of it. And the police don't have a good reputation, as you can probably observe in the United States, for very clear reasons. When I traveled to Germany, the public perception of the police was entirely different. It's not like people were glazing the police, right? But they did feel far safer there than they did in the States. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like
It's like also when I'm in like bigger cities in the core, like where all the shopping is happening. When I see police walking there, it's like a really calm feeling, basically, because they don't only are there to protect you. You can also ask them questions, especially if you're not from the city specifically, and let's say you're lost. They will help you with anything you want. You ask them, basically, and that's very nice.
the police were just chilling. They weren't hostile. They were just walking around minding their own business. I actually had never in my life seen so many people casually just socialize with cops. Just casually socialize. Talk
That
to them
also
like they were like,
happens.
but
Or like people like sometimes buy them treats and stuff like that just for being nice to them, and that's it. Nothing else.
buddy on the street a little bit.
No
and I'm
profit,
like, what?
no
What the
benefit.
heck? People taking pictures with them and stuff like that. People aspiring to be law enforcement. That's a thing. And I'm like, what? Now, I'm not saying we don't have individuals.
There are problems with the German police, yes. I will not elaborate that more, but overall, it's a very nice experience. It's also like, for example, when let's say this actually happened to me. So I wanted to drive to McDonald's with my friends, and I was the driver, and I scratched the car of another woman because she was parking horribly. And she completely freaked out. And I was like, yeah, let's just, do you want to call the police? And she's like, yeah, I want to call the police. She was like a Karen. And then the police came, and then I just explained to them what happened, and then they heard her story, and they were like, oh, usually because because you caused the scratch, you caused the incident, basically. Usually that is like 39 euro for casualties. But because you were like so calm and well behaved, we just do not charge you anything. So they are very reasonable if you are also reasonable with them. I don't know. I never felt weird. The only time I felt a bit weird was once where my car was damaged and I was not even there, because the person who damaged my car told I was there, but I didn't wanted to hear about it, but I was far away from my car. And then the police was a little bit mad at me because they thought I would be there but don't want to deal with it. But still, nothing happened. Everything was okay. I never had any bad experiences with them. And I also never heard of others in my surroundings having bad experiences with them.
Like that in the United States, but the vast majority of people want to stay as far away from that as possible, let alone like people having to feel like they need to have a gun on them, right? It's ironic. People are told in the United States that you will be far safer if you have a gun, but in my
that's something this is something I will never understand with that.
Head, and from what I've observed, it almost makes the situation you're in even more intense, because there are a vast majority of Americans who are not afraid of guns. That's just a normalcy in the United States. So if someone breaks into your house and you have a gun or whatever, right, you can defend yourself, and that's great. If you're in public, especially in states where you can open carry and just have it on your hip, to me, I don't think that's a deterrent. I think that just means that's the level of force someone has to meet you with to rob you. And Now the situation has gone from 0 to 1,000 because everybody in the vicinity has a possible chance of getting hit with bullets. There was an incident after a Super Bowl a few years ago where two people got into an altercation. One of the individuals pulled out a gun and opened fire. And mind you, they're in a crowded area. And mind you, someone else heard the shots and decided to fire back in the direction of where the person heard the shots coming from. Another individual pulled out their gun and started shooting as well. And it was horrible.
That's crazy. That's just crazy. No, there's no other word. Crazy.
Everybody but the intended people were getting hit.
Bad crazy,
like,
not the good
heck?
crazy.
And it's something like my friends and I joked about in high school. I'm like, man, what if there's a mass shooting and nobody knows who originated the shots, right? And we just see two people firing at each other, and then a third person decides to interject and save everybody by shooting at the person they think is the shooter, but is actually the person trying to shoot the shooter. You see what I'm saying? It creates more chaos, more lives are lost, everybody feels unsafe, and it's just, it's very unfortunate. Something that I didn't get a feeling of when I was in Europe at all. There's tiers to this. Now, I'm not saying Europe is 120% safe, because there are obviously elements to Europe that are not safe at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm very aware of that. But I was just so taken back by the day-to-day in, you know, the biggest cities to the smallest towns and whatnot. In America, all right, small towns, hive mindset, which is also true in Europe as well, but the likelihood of people being more hostile is not as high, I would say, as in the United States. Now, I could be wrong, and you guys can let me know in the comments down below, because again, I haven't traveled all over Europe. I've traveled to the Netherlands, Germany, and Belgium. So what I've observed, people just seem like they're minding their own business. In America, man, it's just different, bro. Like, people need to make a statement all the time. And if they don't like you, we got to let you know. We can't just do it in silence and, you know, be quiet about it. And I'm like,
yeah, I don't know. This is also something where I think I could never live there, for example, because of either open carry or whatever. I don't want to be in an environment where that is normalized, and I still have hard trouble to understand it.
man, like, what the heck? I don't know. It's very different, and it's something that I noticed was a definite issue. Things that I feel like could improve in America for sure. And I know a lot of people are going to feel a little different about this. They might agree, they might disagree, but
the problem is improving that would also mean that you have to work against the weapon lobby, and I don't see any hope in that. I'm so sorry to tell you.
that's just my experience and what I've come to realize. And honestly, there are a lot more lies that I was told and stuff in the United States about America that I debunked almost immediately after traveling and getting to experience the world myself. My advice to anybody watching this video that is from the United States, please, 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 if you ever get the chance, leave the United States, even if it's for a couple days, maybe a week, if you can afford it. At some point in your life, just travel outside the United States and see for yourself how the world actually functions. One big thing I will say before I leave is how we receive news, right? Part of the safety, the feeling of feeling safe in America is killed by what we watch on the news. If you watch the average news outlet in Europe, anywhere, people are getting raw, uncut, unfiltered news.
Yeah, very neutral. As neutral as it can get.
From every angle possible. In the United States, we got Fox, we got CNN, MSNBC, and ABC, whatever. They all got their agendas, man. And it's like extreme agendas. So the stories are always skewed and distorted and warped. And it pits two ends against the middle. It's insane and very divisive. So a lot of key details are left.
And sometimes it's also like worded completely. Like, there's one case, and depending on where you get the news from, it's worded so differently. I mean, we have that in Germany as well with the Bild news, basically. They try to have like a more American way of making news, and there are also a lot of YouTubers that are like making it look like they're like a news place and stuff like that, and they are also show you weird things and with a lot of conspiracy in it as well. So yes, there are problematic parts, but the normal news you can watch on TV, the very, very normal ones, the standard is very neutral. Sometimes a bit slower because they still do the research like properly to make it as neutral as possible. They try at least.
Out. And I feel like if you want to get the full story, you got to start watching news sources from other countries because they're telling
Maybe,
way
yeah.
more parts of a story that you've
Maybe.
witnessed in their country than we're receiving in our own country, which I think is diabolical. But long story short, definitely get out there, definitely travel. You will not regret it. It is
Yeah.
one of the most enriching feelings I
Or like at least maybe become online friends with people from Europe to get their first-hand experiences, or we just share it here down below. It is just like if I do understand that not everyone can afford traveling, especially to another continent, but maybe that is like a little compromise where we can just start sharing positive experiences and like how it could be and to inspire each other, right?
feel like in the
Maybe.
world. It is scary because you don't know what's out there, but it's also very fulfilling and eye-opening.
Yeah.
And the likelihood of you having a more open mind is through the roof once you leave your local area. But if you
Yeah.
guys resonated with any of that, or you guys want to challenge
Thank you, James. It was a very nice video. I think what I also want to say, if you travel abroad, it really builds character, or it really shows where maybe your character or your skills are still lacking, for example. So it like you can only learn. That is the good part about it. You can only learn and get experiences and then use that for your later life after that, and maybe also help others who struggle, for example. But yeah, this was very interesting, seeing those different aspects between America and Europe, or specifically Germany. Did you learn something from this video? I hope so. But yeah, thank you so much, James, for the video. It's linked down below if you want to watch it yourself or check out his channel, because I really think it's very interesting to hear someone who is coming from America and experiencing other countries. I mean, like now with Korea, for example, it just gives a lot of good perspectives. I mean, it's like his experience, but there's so many other videos you can watch from others, and this is like them becoming a little thought collective, basically, of how things are, which we can use to improve overall. I wish you a good day. Please stay safe, stay hydrated. It is very warm now, and I see you on the next one. Bye bye.